I stopped driving, and the world stopped coming to me. I didn't think it would feel like a funeral, but that's what it felt like the day I handed my keys to my daughter and said, "You'd better keep these now." I smiled when I said it, but it wasn't a happy smile. It was the kind of smile you use when you're trying not to let the grief leak out. The car was still parked in the driveway, mine for over a decade. The same seat molded to my shape, the same faint smell of coffee and peppermint gum in the glove compartment. I used to say it was just a machine, just a way to get from A to B. But the moment I let go of the keys, I realized it was more than that. It was freedom. It was independence. It was my last piece of the world that still felt like mine. I stopped driving at 81. My eyes weren't as sharp, my reflexes not as quick. I had a few close calls, nothing serious, but enough to make me wonder if I was still safe behind the wheel. And the truth is, no one pressured me. No doctor made the call. I did. I made the choice before the choice could be made for me. I thought that would make it easier. It didn't. What they don't tell you about aging is that most of your grief comes in small, invisible losses. Not dramatic, not sudden, just quiet things that slip away when no one is watching. A little strength here, a little balance there, a name you used to recall instantly, and then your car. The moment I stopped driving, something changed, not just in my schedule, but in the way the world responded to me. People stopped inviting me to things, not out of cruelty, just practicality. I no longer had a way to get there on my own. Family visits had to be scheduled. Spontaneity vanished. Grocery shopping became an errand I needed someone else to fit in. I started saying, "Don't worry about it, I'll be fine," when I wasn't. I watched life move on around me like I was behind glass. I used to go where I wanted, when I wanted. I'd take the long way home just because the trees were pretty. I'd pull over for pie on a whim. I'd listen to music too loud and talk to myself at red lights. Those days are gone now. This isn't just about cars. This is about identity. About movement. About being seen. When I stopped driving, the world didn't exactly disappear. It just stopped coming to me. And for a while, I didn't know how to follow it. I still remember the day I got my license. It was 1959, a Tuesday. I wore a button-down shirt even though it was too hot for it, and I practiced parallel parking the whole week before like it was an Olympic sport. That little card with my picture on it meant more than permission to drive, and it meant I could go anywhere, alone, on my own time. For the first time, I didn't have to wait on anyone. That first taste of freedom stuck with me. Through high school, through college, through early marriage. Driving wasn't just about getting somewhere. It was about being someone. It meant independence. It meant choice. It meant I could leave the house when I needed air, or escape when I needed space, or go find the sunset instead of waiting for it to find me. There's a kind of joy in driving that's hard to explain to someone who's only known it as a convenience. For me, it was a lifeline. Sunday drives with no destination, just open roads and old songs on the radio. Trips to the store that turned into hours browsing aisles. Picking up the kids, dropping off casseroles, late-night donuts because someone had a craving. It was all part of living. When my wife got sick, driving became something else entirely. It became control. I could manage her appointments. I could get her what she needed, when she needed it. It gave me purpose when I didn't have answers, even when I was exhausted, even when the world felt like it was crumbling. The act of driving kept me tethered to some sense of capability. And when I lost her, driving was what helped me cope. I'd get in the car and go. No plan, no map. Just movement, just motion. Sometimes I'd end up at the lake, sometimes at an old diner, sometimes nowhere in particular. But those drives were sacred. They reminded me I was still alive. It's strange how something so ordinary, foot on a pedal, hand on the wheel, can come to mean everything. That old car became an extension of me. My thoughts lived in that cabin. My memories clung to the seatbelt. My silence echoed in the space between songs. And when you spend decades living that way, where driving equals freedom, identity, and Purpose. You don't expect that one day it might quietly vanish. You don't expect that setting down your keys will feel like setting down a part of yourself. The first week without driving felt like being grounded in your own life. I still woke up early, still put on my shoes, still walked to the door like I had somewhere to be. And then I remembered. I wasn't going anywhere, not without asking. Started depending on people more for groceries, for appointments, for church. I hated it. Not because my family wasn't kind, they were. But because needing help chips away at something inside you when you're used to doing it all yourself. I told myself I'd adjust, that I'd get used to asking, that I'd find other ways. But truthfully, I didn't feel like adjusting. I felt like shrinking. Staying home was easier than coordinating rides. Missing events was easier than feeling like a burden. So I stayed in. At first, it was just a day or two. Then it became a pattern. And when you stop showing up, the world stops expecting you. The invitations came less often. No one meant harm. They just figured I was settling down. But I wasn't. I was fading out. I watched my phone stay quiet. I watched people post pictures from places I used to go. I saw the world roll forward without me, and I sat in the same chair each day wondering when exactly I became background noise. There's a loneliness that comes with stillness. Not the peaceful kind, the hollow kind. The kind where you feel like the rest of the world is moving in fast forward while you're stuck on pause. I'd stare out the window and wonder where everyone was going, what they were doing, and why no one was coming my way. Even the errands I used to complain about, waiting in line, getting gas, running into people I half recognized. I missed all of it. I missed the rhythm of being part of things. Driving used to give me that rhythm. Without it, the days blurred together. Time got quiet. And so did I. And the worst part wasn't the silence. It was the feeling that maybe this was it now. That maybe the world doesn't come back once you stop moving. That maybe, when you stop driving, you stop belonging. At first I thought giving up driving meant giving up life as I knew it. And maybe that part was true. That version of life, the one with me in the driver's seat, setting the destination, that was over. But what I didn't know then, what I couldn't have known, was that the road doesn't end when the car stops. It just changes shape. One of the first things that helped was something I used to dismiss, the community shuttle. I'd always assumed it was for old people, never mind that I was one of them. But one morning I called and signed up for a ride. The driver's name was Tony. He helped me up the step like I mattered. We talked all the way to the doctor's office. He asked about my grandkids, I asked about his garden. That ride wasn't just transportation. It was human contact. Then there was Ruth, my neighbor down the street. We used to wave from across lawns but never spoke much. One day she dropped off some zucchini bread just because, and we got to talking. Turns out she also stopped driving a few years ago. Now we share rides when one of our daughters is available. Other times we just walk to the park together, slow but steady. It's not far, but far enough to feel like we've gone somewhere. And maybe that's what I've learned. Going places doesn't always mean miles. It can mean movement of the spirit, getting out of your own silence, letting people in again, even if it means admitting you can't do everything alone. I started planning, more intentionally. Instead of avoiding invitations, I started reaching out first. I'd ask, "Do you mind giving me a ride?" And to my surprise, people said yes, gladly. I realized most of them didn't mind. They just hadn't known what I needed. There, our new habits now. Grocery delivery, senior ride services, more phone calls, fewer last-minute plans. It's slower, sure, but in some ways it's deeper, more personal, because when every outing takes a little more effort, you start to appreciate it more. You stop rushing, you pay attention, you connect. The world didn't magically return to my doorstep. I had to meet it halfway. I had to knock on its door instead of waiting for it to knock on mine. And that, I've come to believe, is still a kind of freedom. I won't pretend I don't miss it. I still dream about driving sometimes. My hands on the wheel, wind coming through the open window, no destination, just sky. I still glance at my old car when I pass by it in the driveway, like I expect it to wink at me like we share a secret only the road could ever understand. But the grief of what I lost has made space for something else now, a different kind of motion, a quieter kind of strength. I used to think that when I stopped driving, I stopped living. But I see now that life isn't measured by the places I reach. It's measured by the connections I make, the stories I share, the courage I choose. I may not be behind the wheel anymore, but I'm still steering something. My presence, my perspective, my choices, my voice. The world may not come to me the way it once did, but I no longer sit at the window waiting for it to knock. I pick up the phone. I write letters. I ask for help. I say yes when people offer to come by, even when my pride wants to say no. And when I step outside, slowly, maybe with a cane or an arm to hold, I know now that I'm still moving forward. I still have places to go, not just physically, emotionally, spiritually, in relationships, in honesty, in the quiet kind of courage that says, yes, life changed, but I didn't give up. I just learned a new way to travel, and that in its own quiet way is everything.